Thursday, October 31st, the last day of October. And here we have a big break. Well, I can't really say just in time. Oh, by the way, this is market analysis, Stan Ehrlich. And I start out with stock market indexes and go to futures. And tomorrow again, I'll do the October low, bigger picture, multi-year, and see what it looks like. And sometimes I go to cycles and seasonals and forex, crypto, a variety of stuff. So what we've got is new lows for the last 3 to 4 weeks, and in one case, about 6, 7 weeks. That's what I was waiting for. Finally, we have some significant new lows, down a lot. At one point, the E-mini was down about 10 full points, or 100, 10 S&P points, 100 E-mini points. And it's bounced back very slightly at the moment, about 1500s. So we're 85 lower, below all of the lows and closes, of course, since the lows that were made around the beginning of October. That is a relatively flat support area that I think could still be broken today. And we could get below 5720. Then we'll have a low for the whole month of October today. In some cases, that's already happened. And then I could basically say that we have an October low at the last day of October, unless we keep sliding in November, and that's exactly what I think we're going to do. There'll be a new low sometime in the next week or so, or less, maybe the next day, Friday, Monday. And I think we're coming off to one of these support areas, but not a huge break, in my opinion. At the very, very most, 5430 down to 5400. And I suppose I cannot completely rule out 5250, but that does look like it's too far down. Kind of depends on what it's doing in the first week of November. Normally, November is a strong month in December. So I am expecting it to start to move its way up and show some significant evidence thereof during November, but after a little more weakness in the next approximate week. And the 5-minute chart on the E-mini, minor bounce, dropped right through a few short-term moderate support areas, and is now coming up to one of them, the middle one. I think we're going to turn around. I think we're going to make new lows today, but this is my finally new low for weeks and weeks that I've been waiting for, and I thought I was going to get it, I don't know, about 3 weeks ago. So I don't really have a great October low this time, which is disappointing. Next chart, Spider, same thing, except we have a gap. Spider gapped down this morning quite a bit. The opening is a high, and I see I got to send this to the back. There we go. And we're currently at the blue marker, which is the current tick, along with the current price tick, of course, 51 or 571.41. So maybe we'll come off a little bit more. We are getting very close to oversold. I'll take a peek at the daily data on the E-mini. Oh yeah, 74 something, 24 something. And all we need to do is touch 25 or lower. And today's RSI low, 25.79. So, a small amount of new lows for the day would get us into oversold territory, but it's the first one, and I think we're going to see more. Again, spider, and then the 1-minute spider, gap to close. I'll put a little, just a moment, rectangle in there like I did on the daily chart. Right from that point, I move it off to the next several days in the future, and there we have it. So we're going to get back into this zone here to close the gap. And I got a good example of that in some other market. I think it's natural gas that I can show you this morning. Gap closures. Okay, so as you can see, we're making new lows here for a couple, 3 weeks. But this area looks to be more important. And again, that's around 565, 566. Getting below there on the Spider SPY is going to be even a bit more bearish. Now, I'm not really bearish. This is a downside correction in a longer-term bull market. So New lows for the QQQ since the first week of October, approximately. Again, support below the market. And here, 480 down to about 473. Then there's support for various other reasons at lower levels. We'll talk about if we start to look like we're going to get down there. Next, QQQ 5 minutes. You can see it just poked into minor new lows since about the 8th of October, 7th of October. So there's support, various levels. We'll see which one holds. I'm not expecting a huge break from these prices. We've already come down quite a bit today. Next, broken a new low ground on the NASDAQ futures contract since October 8th, 3 weeks ago. So finally, I'm getting my new lows for a significant period of time. And this is only one day after a new high for the trend. See, these things fool people a lot. Now, day before yesterday, Tuesday, a new high with a fairly good close. But the close on Tuesday was not above previous rally highs. And the close yesterday, which again was another new high, was nowhere near a close above previous rally highs. So here we go today, boom. And we have a washout of sell stops. The market's resting at the moment. I think it's going to make new lows. We're going to see this support area, which we've almost reached already, tested. 19,822 is going to be pretty significant. 19,8, yeah, 22 is good. 27, 8, let's call it 19,830. Closing below that should cause another step down. And I'm modestly bearish at the moment on stock market indexes and starting to prove that it's been the right thing to be in general for the last month, maybe a little bit longer. Here we go, crashing down in the NASDAQ, actually for 2 days now. Next, YM has been coming down already fairly nicely, and today just bashed into new low ground, and that's since September 19th. So here we have a new low for 6 weeks, 5 to 6 weeks. Not staying below the support level. I think it will by the end of the day, and that should cause it to come down probably to about 40770, maybe a little bit lower than that, 4621. But I can't rule out lower levels after that. And the 5-minute chart on the YM, we could bounce a little here, but I think the bounces in the next several hours today are probably a sale. Next, Russell, not the same chart. Now, I've got a very long-term chart to show you here. Remember, we had a very, very big trading range starting about February of 21. So, 2021, until finally, about January of 22, a year later, it has a downside breakout. Then later on, a couple of months later, we have a test of resistance, and it spends years underneath those levels until the beginning of the summer of this year, July 20th, 24, we come back up to the resistance area, into it somewhat, top out, break down, top out, break down, top out, break. These lows are all higher than each other. Well, since the significant low October of 23 last year. So I'm thinking there's a chance we could come down to the bottom of this red zone, 2100, maybe even a little lower, 2065. And the short-term data for the Russell. And we're going to go to bonds. All right. We're oversold, and we have been for quite a while. We got oversold about a month ago, and except for a couple of exceptions, including the last couple of days, we've been trading above the 25 level all day for the RSI. Now, we had a break below yesterday's low this morning. We've been able to climb right back up to almost unchanged, only down 2 ticks. Closing here is going to look not too bad. Bounced pretty good. No follow through on the downside, no new low, oversold conditions. Remember, it got down to the downside objective for the double top almost perfectly, not quite on Tuesday, but good enough. And the head and shoulder top formation, which was fairly small to medium, was about 2 months in size, and it already worked and got to its objective October 11th. So both objectives have now been fulfilled, and we're in the October month, and we're oversold, and we're starting to show some reasons to believe it's trying to bottom out. Now, I'm going to tell you that if it closes above 118, oh, I'll call it 19 flat to be a little safe, and even squeak it up a little bit more to 1906. That will make over a week's activity under the closing price and a new high close for a couple of weeks, and probably be convincing a lot of people that the market is going to rally even more, including me. But I would love to see the market at least stay at a minimum where it is right now, if not close actually higher on the day. And if it gets above yesterday's high, we will have a green bullish engulfing buy signal almost at the bottom. 10-year notes. New low for the trend, not staying below those previous lows. It is still down 10 ticks on the day, but again, I'd love to see this thing close a little higher or obviously above yesterday's high for a bullish engulfing green bar if it can do it. We had a fantastic trade in the notes. We got short on the top of the market twice. And that was going short on September 17th and September 18th. Both one bearish engulfing, and the other one is an ER3 rally back into approximately the middle range of the signal day the previous day. Two green trade lines going down. We got stopped out of our first short at October 16th, and we got stopped out of the other one yesterday, October 30th. We're flat. Both trades were just great. Several $1,000 points, looking super. Next. But now we're flat. And in notes, oversold. All downside objectives have been fulfilled. Double top, head and shoulder, you name it. I think it's about to turn around very bullishly. Next, crude oil. Bouncing a little bit more, and that's the gap closure concept here. I'll draw on the little rectangle like I did on the other charts. And you can see right about there. Okay, that we have almost closed the gap exactly. I would say maybe good enough, but doing the job completely is better. But this is like 80-90% of the gap. And here we are back down from the rally high. That could have been it. Maybe that's it for the moment. That might have been good enough. I can't tell. Gaps are almost always closed, and they are not necessarily closed 100%. But you can see this market tried to do the job pretty good, but didn't do it completely yet. I'm basically bearish, looking for a test of support at 66.17 and very possibly 63.50 and maybe even lower. Next, we've got high heating oil, HO, minor new high for a couple of days. Trend is down. We're in a broad downward slanting channel since a little over a year ago. We could test the bottom of the channel at support around 2.000000. Very possibly. Trying to pick the downturn for you. So we might have a little bit more strength up to resistance before it starts to slip back down. Bearish. Natural gas stopped us out. We had an ER3 entry 3 days after the original buy signal, which did make money on the ER1 overnight. And we got out at October 28th, around the middle of the range. But we also got back in. We got into a brand new ER3 later that day, which didn't work, and we got stopped out of that today. So they're probably about a wash, maybe a tiny loss on the two combined. Previous position, a whopping big profit. Sold the top of the market, ER1 sell signal, ER signal, top, boom, great. rode the green line all the way down. That's the trade line from the beginning of the trade to the end of the trade. Got stopped out October 21 in support with oversold conditions. And we had a 3 or 4 day rally during which we got a buy signal, which worked also. So great. This last buy signal, when we got in because of the ER3 being hit, that one didn't work. The signal was okay for a few days. The entry for ER3s, they failed. Next, gold. The high today is very close to yesterday's high, but just a little bit below it. If we had a high today higher than yesterday's high by 1 tick or more, we would have a huge bearish engulfing ER red sell signal. Now, the one we had just a few days ago didn't work, but I keep telling you guys, these are not necessarily the highest high or the lowest low, but frequently they are. You've seen lots and lots and lots of them that are the exact top or bottom for little moves and big moves. But they are also part of the topping out and bottoming out process. Not necessarily the highest high or lowest low, and not necessarily a profitable signal. But I'll get 2, 3, sometimes even 4 during 1 month, or even a hair less, and they will end up, retrospect 2020 hindsight, being part of a top, often. So maybe that's what's happening here. I still have plenty of time to get another sell signal, but with this big, big range today, I doubt we're going to have one tomorrow, but maybe in the next few days. I'm starting to think gold stopped out. I have to wait a little. This is almost a big signal. Silver. New lows for a week and a half, dropping into support substantially this time, and does not look like it's going to bounce up out of it like we've done for a few days. So, bottom of support range is going to be tested at 32,445, probably broken, and looks like it's going to slip down, frankly, to maybe 30.34. I couldn't rule out lower. Let's see what happens as it starts to slip here. Not anywhere near oversold. Elbow room on the downside, good. Next, bearish engulfing yesterday in platinum. I showed this to you guys. We had a day trade scalp that made money. We have an overnight trade that we're in from a tick under the low of Tuesday. And we're doing really great on that trade. Current tick a hair over 1,000. And we are short from about 1041.90. Call it 1042. Yeah, about there. Looking good. Still looking for a lot lower. Now, we are not oversold. And I think it's going to be coming down to about 965, 952 area, and probably lower. We're still stuck between a rock and a hard spot in copper. But it looks like the recent trend during October and the end of September also, with a sell signal on the very top of the market, and another one just before the real big break occurred. So we have 2 really great signals, plus the original sell signal at the top of the market had an ER3 entry 2 days later near the top of the rally on that date, October 2nd. And we were short until finally got bumped out October 21. And then the market started to go flat, unfortunately, a little bit lower than we got bumped out, but no sharp decline. We're not missing out on a lot so far. But I do think it's going to be making new lows. And we'll see what happens. I'm bearish. Also, now in grain, little double bottom, maybe over 2 weeks, very small. Very minor bottom formation, and I'm drawing in the little tiny measuring stick, and I want to turn off the snap mode, and I'm not finding it at the moment, so I'll get to it later, cancel, and I'll just kill that line. So you take it from 1017 3/4 up from 977. So you got 25, So for 40-ish higher, and that would be 40. So 57, 10, 50, 50, 60. So we're going to go up to 1050, 1060 area, around where it topped out before in late September, just a little under. And that would be the upside objective on the small double bottom, which has not broken out yet. It's not cast in stone. We need to close above the high on October 24th. But it's looking a little better. Not good enough to be bullish long term, but maybe a short term rally. And some people's going to like to talk about a broad double bottom here over 2 months, which is about a normal size. So there's a little double, triple low in here, and there's a little double low right here. We just have to get its rear end in gear on the upside. Other than that, and I don't know that that's going to work, I have to stay basically bearish because the trend is down and I don't have any buy signals. And probably this little rally, if it happens in the first place, is not going to hold. And we might not have the rally, and we might probably see new lows. So small rally maybe, and then new lows, or just plain new lows and no real rally. We're up against resistance and trying to break in new high ground on a closing basis with soybean oil, sorry. And this is looking a little bit more interesting. We're up, we're staying up, but we're not above the previous rally highs. That's very important. We're also not overbought. So if it moves up a little bit more, then it has more follow through, probably to 47, 48 and a quarter. And if it gets up to 48, now we have new highs since last April. That would cause me to talk about a lopsided bottom formation. These two lows are a big flat support area. You might call it one shoulder, two shoulders, but that's kind of sloppy. If that's true, then the neckline is supposed to be across this high right there and across that high, and I'm just pulling it down slightly, about like that. We touched the neckline a week or so ago, pulled back, and now we're about at it or a hair above it. So maybe this is a last shoulder low, middle of October. But you're supposed to have two shoulders on the right. If there's two shoulders on the left, usually they're very similar looking, symmetrical. We don't have that. So I'm hesitating a little bit to tell you that this is a good head and shoulder bottom. Don't like the way it developed. Very skeptical about it. But line is being broken. New highs are being made. We just have to have the follow through. Then I'll talk about it going up to approximately, I don't know, maybe as high as, 54, 55, 56 maybe. Next, we've got soybean meal. Now, I can talk bullish on this because we're at a bull trend line, we're oversold, and we just touched a support area, all three of which I've been looking for, and they just started to happen a couple of days ago, yesterday, and today's still good. I'd love to see this thing reverse. It wouldn't be too difficult and get over yesterday's high. We'd have a green bullish signal with all the goodies. Next, corn. Support's holding a little bit. Are we developing a bottom? Is this important over here in July? And then the bottom here, which was almost a bullish engulfing, you realize those two lows are exactly the same tick. Low, 38500, low, 385.00. And this was August 26th and August 27th. If on the 27th it had made one tick lower low, we probably would have had a green bullish engulfing buy signal, and it probably would have gotten a little bit more oversold. Since the oversold was 25.16, it would have been very easy to push it to 25 or even lower. Oversold territory, official signal, came so close. Here we are now. Are we going to start to have some bullish action or not? I can't say yes at this point. So I have to be neutral to still longer term bearish. What about wheat? Kind of the same damn thing. not quite oversold, finding a little bounce. We had a buy signal at the very bottom of the wheat market. Great. That's why I built the strategy. There's another buy signal at the very bottom of that huge move down and up. No, no exact high day, but that sell signal June 3rd certainly worked. Huge. And when they don't work, we get stopped out pretty quickly. The ones that do work, sometimes they're not that big a deal, but sometimes they're whoppers. And of course, you can change how quickly you want your stop to move. Slowly for longer term investment people, longer term swing traders, very fast moving stop for short term traders and or scalpers. Next, we've got this bearish engulfing. Unfortunately, it just barely missed being overbought 2 days ago. This is hogs, cattle, sorry. And down we go yesterday, big time. Today, we're resting a little bit doji, unchanged literally, one tick lower now. And I think it's going to break the support level, which we're bouncing off of slightly. And we're going to see this market maybe come all the way back down to where it was in August. And what was that date right there? That's September 9th. So I'm not ruling that out. But we do have support levels on the way down. You've got to watch carefully to see how it acts when it gets to those levels. And we're looking at Miss Piggy. We have overbought conditions for a couple of days now. We have a little gap to go down and close, and I don't know why I didn't put the little marker right there. And it's right across there and right there. So that's our gap zone. So that looks like the first thing to get closed. But depending upon how it does it, we may even slip a chunk more. But first downside objective 80 and 3/4. Next one is going to be 77 even, and then even lower. E-mini. The bounce is just not making it. I'm not impressed. The bounce in the spider, same thing. Bounce is just not very big or very fast. And, there's nothing bullish about it. Yeah. And we're heading down now in the NASDAQ already toward the low of the day. That's what I like. Okay. You guys have a great day and profitable trading to you.